What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and if you walk into Verizon right now, well, there aren't any 4G LTE phones at this second, but they're coming soon. But let's say you're eligible for an upgrade. You broke your phone, you need something right now, and you want an Android device. Well, they have a couple of good devices in their lineup right now. One being the Motorola Droid Pro, another being the Samsung Fascinate, a member of the Galaxy S line. So you have a Motorola device with a keyboard, one with a Super AMOLED display. Which one's going to win? We're going to pit them together in a dogfight to see which one's the best for you. First, special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile. They've hooked us up with two of these, so we can give them away to you in our One Paw Bandit game, because we like to see you win. You know, we're giving away iPads, tablets, and phones in our One Paw Bandit game as a way of saying thanks to you. When you go into Best Buy, you walk out working. You don't have to deal with setting it up on your own. You can walk in. They'll help you set up your email and your web, so you're good to go. Enough of that, let's get into it. The dogfight between the Motorola Droid Pro Enterprise Class Android device and the Samsung Fascinate. Awesome phone, high-end Super AMOLED display. Which one's going to win? Keep watching, we'll find out. So here are two of Verizon's hottest Android phones. You have the Motorola Droid Pro. It's available at Verizon now for $179.99. It's after mail-in rebate. If you go somewhere like Wirefly, Best Buy Mobile, it's probably cheaper, and there's no mail-in rebate. At least at corporate Verizon, it's $179. You have the Samsung Fascinate here. No physical QWERTY keyboard, but a larger display. $199.99 after a $100 mail-in rebate at Verizon. Like I said before, Wirefly, Best Buy Mobile, prices may be a little bit different. So both of these devices are actually, despite being Android devices, both of these devices are pretty different. And then they appeal to two different demographics. This is intended, at least as Motorola said at their event in CTIA last year in San Francisco. They said that this was intended for BlackBerry users that were kind of tired of the platform. They wanted a change. They wanted to switch it around. And they still needed, that physical QWERTY keyboard. This is for them. So it's, nice, thin, candy bar design, relatively thin, candy bar design, but running Android instead of BlackBerry OS. You have that. It's running Android 2.2. It's running Motorola's applications platform. It's not quite Moto Blur, but it's very similar to what you see on the Droid X, the Droid 2. You can see the icons are very similar along the bottom. Then you look at the widgets. Again, very similar to Moto Blur. And then non-Moto Blur devices like the Droid X, the Droid 2. This is running Samsung's TouchWiz user interface and is actually still on Android 2.1. Samsung hasn't updated it as of this video, but it's still on Android 2.1. Now this one takes on more of an iPhone look and feel, whereas this preserves kind of the Android scrolling up, scrolling down. This takes on an iPhone look and feel. At least a few days before today, we didn't realize the iPhone was coming to Verizon, so for people that were jumping to Verizon for coverage, for whatever it was, I said go with the Galaxy S device, the Fascinate, because it looks the most like the iPhone. You look at the icons, and even though it's running Android, the icons are very similar. They scroll from left to right. They're very colorful. You have those four icons in the bottom. Looks just like an iPhone, and it appeals to those people that really like the way iOS looks. Otherwise, 5-megapixel camera on the back of this one, 5-megapixel camera on the back of this one. This is a global device, so you take it overseas. It does have a SIM card slot in the back. We'll actually take it out so you can see. SIM card slot in the back with micro SD card slot. So when you do travel overseas, Vodafone is their roaming partner, and they also have a stake in Verizon. But whenever you're traveling, you do have some coverage options on the Droid Pro. So it has a SIM card slot, GSM capacity, or capabilities rather. This does not. It's a CDMA only device, so you leave the country and you're pretty much out of luck with the Samsung Fascinate. So again, different devices, different respective audiences, but both good Android, high-end Android devices. Let's take a look at this one first. You look at the applications. Make sure that's back on. Look at the applications. You see Verizon's 3G mobile hotspot, which is an additional fee per month. You see Amazon MP3 backup assistant, browser, typical Google applications, City ID, which is a Verizon pre-installed application, DLNA support, Gmail, Google search, again, it's typical Google things. My Verizon Mobile, which is pre-installed by Verizon, Need for Speed Shift, and then you see some Moto Blur Motorola applications platform installed stuff, social networking, task manager, and then Skype Mobile, which is Verizon. But you see, it's a little bit of a modified version. I have to give them credit. It's really a love-hate platform. A lot of people really dislike Motorola's customizations, but I do give them credit for including things like files, where I can jump in to the file manager and see phone files, shared folders, without having to go to the Android market and download a program like Astro. Now, first-time smartphone buyers, they're not going to care, but for those people that do like to access their SD card, like to access those files, it is a pretty decent platform there. So you have that. Those are the programs that come pre-installed on it. Now on this one, you have, of course, 3G mobile hotspot as well. It's an additional, I think, $20 from Verizon, unless they've changed the price. Bing. Now this is a big thing. Out of the box, this has Bing and Bing alone. There's no Google search out of the box. It's not a Google Experience device, and it's not branded with Google on the back. So it is, it's Bing out of the box. Blockbuster, City ID again. You have your daily briefing, which is a Samsung program where you see AccuWeather, check your finance, your news. Just like it sounds, it's a daily briefing where you can check your schedule, check your news, and see what's going on throughout the day. So, and that's a Samsung application as well. One thing you'll notice is missing, if you haven't caught it yet, right between Gmail and Music Player, Maps. Google Maps is missing out of the box because Verizon wants you to pay that $9.99 per month for VZ Navigator and all the other VCast services that are pre-installed. So out of the box, no maps. Thank heavens we can go to the market and we can jump in and we can download it. And I have to give them a lot, not just a few points off, but a lot of points off because, Google Maps, you and I know that it's able to be downloaded in the Android market, but a lot of people don't. So, pretty frustrating, pretty sly and not cool on Verizon's part that's not pre-installed out of the box. But VZ Navigator is on there for whatever reason. You want to pay $9.99 a month for coverage that's decent, but something you can get for free. By all means, go ahead. Anyway, the Samsung applications, you see Memo, which has always been one of my frustrations with Android devices. There's never been a good Memo application out of the box. That changes with the Galaxy S line. You have Verizon's mobile IM service, My Verizon Mobile, Need for Speed Shift, Tetris, Think Free Office, things of that nature. Then you have Task Manager, which both of these devices are very good about. Motorola and Samsung have installed built-in task managers where instead of going to the market, downloading Advanced Task Killer or something of that nature, kind of back to what we were talking about with files on this one, it's pre-installed. You see that Market's running. We can click End All, and then it closes the market. So nice to have that built in. You can access that by going to Home, clicking Task Manager, and seeing what's active from there, pressing and holding Home, I should say. Now, build quality-wise, obviously the Fascinate's thinner. It's a little bit bigger, though, because it has a 4-inch Super AMOLED display. The display looks beautiful. You can't really see it in the camera, but it is a nice device. Some people complain that the colors are a little bit washed out. I notice it more on the Windows Phone 7 devices, like the Focus, that have the Super AMOLED display than I do on the Fascinate. But a very thin device, very pocketable, easy to hold in the hand, and it's a nice balance between those 4.3-inch behemoth, monster-sized phones, and then the 3.5, 3.2, 3.7-inch crowd where they might be a little bit too small for most users. It's a nice balance, feels good in the hand, and easy to carry, easy to hold. So, and it's thin as well. You have your volume rocker on the left side, power button on the right, and one of my favorite things about these devices, you have the micro USB charging port and stuff on the top. You have your camera shortcut button on this one. I'm sorry, not camera shortcut, your calendar shortcut button on this one. Volume rocker on the left side, micro USB charging port, and your 3.5mm headphone jack on this one. So you have, in terms of size, a little bit thicker on the Droid Pro, a little bit longer on the Fascinate. So you look at the widgets on these devices, and this is another area where I think MotoBlur does a really good job. They're customizable widgets. You can customize the size, whereas you can't on TouchWiz. So, for example, you see this WeatherBug widget that's here. It's one size fits all. I can't really do much with it on the screen. I'm kind of forced to keep it right there. But you can customize the size of these widgets. So let's bring messages. Let's make it a little smaller. Or actually, I'm going to have to delete to customize the sizes. But let's just say I want to bring messages over here. I want to customize the size. And I want to bring in another widget. Let's say Motorola. We want to bring in, well, we already brought in messages. That's not good. Let's do, we'll bring in weather, for example. That's fine. So you can see it's there. You can stretch that one out as much as you please. And you can see you can customize those, change them, make them larger, in a lot of cases make them smaller. So it offers some nice customizations that the TouchWiz based platform does not, and even the HTC Sense platform, and even, heck, even stock Android doesn't offer it. So very nice there. I scrolled over, you can see some of the widgets here as well. The toggles, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, airplane mode are all there. So there are a lot of Motorola widgets, but let's just get a quick rundown of what's in there. You have the toggles, as I said, calendar, date and time. That's a great one. You can see that's there, and of course you can customize that up that way. And let's see what else we have. GPS toggle, all the toggles we went through, picture frame, social networking, weather, and world clock. And then of course you have your stock Android widgets as well, typical stuff, plus Verizon's data usage widget. On this one, TouchWiz, you know, it's a little bit more bubbly, so the widgets are a little bit more bubbly. You look at things like Buddies Now, their social networking stuff, feeds and updates. We'll jump right in and take a look at the Samsung widgets. You can see they have some options for analog clocks, but again, it's a lot like stock Android. You see stock, you know, black, there's no way to change the color, there's no way to change the size, one size fits all, you know, either you like it or you don't kind of widgets. And, you know, after working with Moto Blur, or, you know, Motorola's applications platform, I have to say I'm a little bit spoiled there. You know, daily briefing, that is a decent widget, although it takes up the full screen. But you can see Buddies Now is there. Digital clocks are there as well. Feeds and updates, which is Samsung's social aggregation tool between Twitter, Facebook. All of those updates you have with your friends can be found there. Let's take a look at the keyboards really quickly before we go any further, and let's see what they look like. Now this has, unlike the Epic 4G, this is running that full kind of TouchWiz experience, so it's a very bubbly iPhone-like messaging experience. So you can see Android keyboard pulled up by default because that's what I prefer. The Quick Brown Fox is awesome. And I thought I'm going to put him on payroll. So the Quick Brown Fox is awesome. You can use it in portrait or in landscape mode. And then you have the option of swipe on this device as well. So you can see if swipe is your thing, it is here. Out or here. You know, I'm just not good at it. So you have that option, of course, in portrait and in landscape as well. So those are the keyboards that come out of the box on the Fascinate. On the Droid Pro, go into text messaging, and you can see obviously no text message or no keyboard pops up because you have your physical keyboard here. And you can see it's a 4-row QWERTY keyboard, and it's intended, get it close to the camera and wait for the autofocus, it's intended to be styled like a BlackBerry keyboard. You can see kind of the edges at the top, how they curve down like a typical BlackBerry keyboard. The keys are sufficiently large. The only issue that I've had, they're large, but they're tightly placed together, so it could be a frustration for people that are coming from BlackBerry. They're used to that just fantastic award-winning keyboard, and they're going down to this. Thanks for the information. But I think there's a learning curve like anything. I think there's a learning curve with this, and you know, with time you can pick it up. You can use the keyboard if for whatever reason you want to in landscape mode as well, but again, it's like the Droid effect, the original Droid. You have to reach over the keyboard to type, so you're thinking, you know, hey there, how are you doing? So reach over the keyboard to type. You know, if you want to use the landscape keyboard, you certainly can, but I don't see people using it outside, for the most part, outside of portrait mode.